Hey, it's Tamara Williams Van Horn with Auntie Corn Leadership Strategies, and I'm back today to talk a little bit more about strengths because I think a lot of people that I run into talk about strengths as if all it is an assessment. First of all, there's several assessments. There's several assessments that are psychometric in nature, and then some that are less rigorous and more like BuzzFeed quizzes or like personality tests. I tend not to work with those, so I can't speak to what they do or what their purpose is. I do tend to work with two assessments. One is the VIA assessment of character strengths, the VIA survey on character strengths. That's at viacharacter.org. And I use CliftonStrengths, which is at gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. Those are the two assessments that I use. That said, it's not just about the assessment. In fact, promise me that you won't outlay money for an assessment until you know what you're paying for. Via Character Survey is free to take. There is a report that you can purchase, but it is more about going in depth into your results than it is paying to find out or unlock your strengths in rank order. Clifton Strengths, it is a commercial entity. You do pay for it to take the assessment in the first place. And then there are different levels at which you can get your top 5, your top 10, or all 34 in rank order. So let's put the assessment out of the way for a second. I really want to talk to you about what Clifton Strengths means by a strength. And we can talk about what VIA means by a strength in a different video. So when we're talking about Clifton Strengths, what the assessment is actually measuring is a theme of talent, meaning there's this ground around which similar traits and talents seem to clump together, and they are the things that make people successful. I've talked about the background of Clifton Strengths in a different video, but by investing in the talents that you possess strongly in a particular theme, then you can develop a strength which is near perfect performance. So you have a theme of talent, which is what's going to show up in your report. And then you invest in that theme and deepen your awareness of it, deepen your capacity to understand its power and edge, and then really get great at aiming it, at, putting it towards a goal, putting it towards some aspect of performance. And then over time, refining that talent becomes a strength. So there's a lot of work that gets to happen between discovering your talents and discovering your strengths. I think it's just not as catchy to say, Clifton Talents, so it's Clifton Strengths. And within that, there's really a whole strengths philosophy that came before the assessment that Don Clifton started this work in, and there are all of these different clues to talent. There are ways that you can 100% identify someone's talents without necessarily knowing any of their Clifton Strengths themes. You can do something called talent spotting, which is where you just name what you're seeing in another person that strikes you as talented, and encouraging them to go further with it, aim it at more different things. If they've got a talent for telling vivid stories, then you can have a colleague or coworker or fellow in your community spaces really invest in that storytelling. You can requests that they use their talents to benefit the organization or the family group or what have you. You can really deepen that storytelling, which would fall into the talent of a communication talent theme. This is just an example. And by doing that, you could develop their storytelling into a strength where they are nice with it, as I like to say. And they show near perfect performance whenever this person is telling a story. So I want you to promise me that if you've already taken Clifton Strengths, you will do me a favor and you will pull out your report. If you can't find your report and you know you took it, if you go to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths and go to the chat box in the bottom or contact customer support. They can help you find your results. You just need to give them the email address or several email addresses if you're not quite sure what email address you took it under, and they can help you select your top 5 themes. They've also they can help you recall your account. I'm so sorry. You might have all 34. It's not just your top 5. They'll help you find your old results, the results you've already taken. Also, you can tell me, what are your top 5? Put it in the comments section. I would love to see what happens when we start just speaking these words out loud. It's a step. It's a step that a lot of people don't get to take. I can't tell you how many folks have told me that they've done strengths already, meaning that they've taken the assessment, usually with work or some leadership course or something like that. And I've been finding the people that I've been running into have mostly not had a deep debrief or an extended encounter with Clifton Strengths. And so I wanted to talk about that because you don't have to spend money. Even if you don't have results or you can't find them, for the life of you, you can't remember what email address you originally took it under. Customer support, by the way, will transfer those results to a current and good email address for you. But you don't have to take the assessment in order to use strengths philosophy in your life. In fact, I would challenge you to see all the ways in which you can spot talents in yourself and others. And if you really want to get the book on strengths-based philosophy that Don Clifton's work comes out of, then look for copies of Soar with Your Strengths. Soar with Your Strengths, and it's by Don Clifton and Paula Nelson. It was released in the early 90s, and it has the pre-assessment strengths philosophy in there. It breaks it down. Nuggets like strengths develop best in the presence of another person, right? So we're not intended to develop our strengths in a vacuum alone. Even those of us with intellection, we are not meant to do this alone or in a vacuum. We are meant to be interdependent and to work with each other to not just spot our talents, but also to nurture and collaboratively grow talents into strengths. So that's just a little bit of what I wanted to share with you today. I'll continue talking about different strengths assessments and, what each one means by strength. Let me know if there's other stuff that you want to learn in the strengths arena. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe and share this with the strengths coach in your life, the strengths enthusiast in your life, or the person who's been trying to figure out how to justify the fee for taking the Clifton Strengths Assessment. And if you have any further questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them or find you the answer. All right, I will talk to you all later, and I'll see you soon. Bye.